Have you ever walked into a garden and felt as if time itself slowed down? The gentle rustle of leaves, the glimmer of sunlight through branches, and the quiet company of flowers have a way of softening the heart. Welcome, dear friends, to TERAFLORA Studio, a place where simple ideas bloom into extraordinary inspirations for your home and garden. Here, we believe that beauty does not always come from what is new. Often, it comes from what is forgotten. An old branch, a bottle, a stone by the river. With a little imagination, these humble pieces can be woven together to create something meaningful, something alive. Our journey today is not only about design, but also about a way of seeing the world, with gentleness, with creativity, and with joy. Before we continue, it is important to share something with you openly. All of the storytelling, the ideas, and the narrations you hear in this video have been carefully crafted with the help of AI technology. We wish to be transparent with you because honesty is the root of trust. What you listen to may sound poetic and warm, but behind it is the thoughtful weaving of digital creativity meant to bring inspiration to your day. As you listen, let yourself be carried by the flow of the words, as if you were walking slowly through a quiet path in a garden. Each idea is a seed. Some may grow in your own backyard, while others may simply spark a dream. Both are beautiful, both are enough. And if you feel this journey resonates with you, I invite you kindly to subscribe to TERAFLORA Studio. Your presence, your support, is the water that allows this small garden of ideas to keep growing. Together, let us continue to find wonder in the simplest things. Have you ever looked at a fallen branch in your garden and wondered if it could become something more than just firewood? That simple thought is the seed of a beautiful idea, turning forgotten pieces of wood into a rustic ladder that breathes life into your backyard. This project is about more than recycling. It is about giving ordinary materials a second chance to shine, transforming them into something that feels warm, playful, and full of character. The beauty of a branch ladder planter lies in its simplicity. You only need 2 sturdy side rails, perhaps from thicker branches, and a few shorter ones to serve as rungs. Once tied or nailed together, you have the skeleton of a ladder that looks as though it came straight from nature itself. But the magic truly begins when you introduce painted bottles. Imagine gathering a handful of plastic bottles, cutting them into neat planting pockets, and painting them in cheerful tones: soft blues, sunny yellows, pastel pinks. Suddenly, they are no longer waste, but bursts of joy waiting to hold life. Slide or hang these bottle planters between the rungs of the ladder, each one cradling soil and seeds. Herbs such as basil, parsley, or mint thrive beautifully in these small containers, while flowers like marigolds or petunias add vibrant splashes of color. The contrast of painted bottles against weathered branches creates a delightful balance between rustic charm and playful creativity. One of the best things about this ladder planter is its flexibility. You can lean it against a wall, place it in a corner of your patio, or even move it around the garden when you want to refresh the scenery. It's light enough to handle, yet sturdy enough to support the little gardens it carries. Over time, as the plants grow and spill over their containers, the ladder transforms into a vertical cascade of greenery and blossoms. This project is also an invitation to make the design your own. Maybe you choose bold, bright colors for a festive look, or muted earthy tones for a calming vibe. Maybe you plant strawberries for a touch of sweetness or trailing ivy for a whimsical feel. Whatever your choice, the process of creating and customizing is as joyful as the finished result. And when you step back to admire it, you'll realize that a few branches and bottles have become something far greater. A handmade piece of art that tells a story of imagination, sustainability, and the quiet beauty of making something with your own hands. There is something timeless about walking through an archway in a garden. It is not just a structure. It feels like a passage into another world, a quiet invitation to step from the ordinary into the extraordinary. The bottle and branch archway captures that feeling perfectly, blending rustic simplicity with blooming romance. The process begins with tall, sturdy branches, one strong enough to form the frame of an arch. They don't need to be perfect. In fact, Their natural curves and textures are what give this project its unique charm. Planted firmly into the ground and tied together at the top, the branches rise like guardians marking the entrance to a secret garden. At the base of the arch, the upcycling begins. Plastic bottles are cut and shaped into planting pockets, nestled among the roots of the structure. These humble containers hold soil, water, and life, small herbs, cascading flowers, or even young rose cuttings. Over time, they blend seamlessly with the branches, almost disappearing as the greenery takes over. Then comes the centerpiece, climbing roses. Trained carefully along the sides and across the top of the arch, they weave themselves into the branches, turning the bare frame into a living tunnel. When they bloom, the air fills with fragrance, and the arch becomes a vision of soft petals and vivid color. Walking through it feels like stepping into a storybook. What makes this idea so inspiring is its flexibility. If roses are not your preference, you can use jasmine, ivy, or grapevines. Each plant brings its own character, fragrance, fruit, or leafy green shade. The bottles at the base allow you to experiment with companion planting, adding herbs like thyme or basil, so the archway becomes not just decorative but also practical. As evening falls, you might even weave small solar lights through the branches, turning the arch into a glowing tunnel of warmth. It becomes more than a garden feature. It is a place to linger, to pause, and to feel connected with the natural world. The bottle and branch archway reminds us that beauty does not require perfection or expensive materials. With fallen wood, discarded bottles, and patience, you can create an entrance that feels both magical and meaningful. It is a reminder that gardens are not only for growing plants, but also for growing stories, memories, and quiet moments of wonder. In every garden, there is a desire for something that rises above the ordinary, a focal point that draws the eye and whispers a quiet story of creativity. The pebble-skinned bottle obelisk does exactly that. Tall, elegant, and surprisingly simple to build, it transforms an herb bed into a place of beauty and function. The foundation of this design is humble, discarded plastic bottles. Stacked carefully around a central rod or wooden pole, they form the skeleton of the obelisk. On their own, the bottles may seem ordinary, but once covered with smooth pebbles, they take on an entirely new identity. The rough becomes refined, the discarded becomes architectural. Each stone is glued in place, layer upon layer, until the bottles disappear and what remains looks as if it has always belonged in the garden. At the base, the obelisk stands proudly among herbs, basil, mint, rosemary, or thyme. Their fragrance drifts through the air with every breeze, making the structure not just a visual centerpiece but a sensory experience. The obelisk's vertical form complements the spreading greenery of the herbs, adding height and balance to the space. The magic deepens when bottle pockets are left intentionally open within the pebble surface. These small niches become planting spaces of their own, perfect for trailing flowers or small vines. Over time, the obelisk turns into a living tower, pebbles forming the backbone, while greenery softens its edges. Herbs climb gently, flowers cascade down, and the structure breathes with life. One of the charms of this project is its adaptability. It can stand tall in the middle of a large herb garden or remain modest in a small corner bed. Its presence elevates the entire space, making even a simple patch of soil feel curated and intentional. And while it looks elaborate, the materials are simple: bottles, stones, adhesive, and imagination. As evening arrives, you might place small solar lights at its base, casting a warm glow that makes the pebbles shimmer like jewels. The obelisk then shifts from a daytime garden feature into a lantern-like presence, guiding you through the quiet hours of the night. The pebble-skinned bottle obelisk teaches us that sustainability and beauty do not have to be separate. With patience and creativity, the simplest of materials can become something that tells a story, one of renewal, resourcefulness, and timeless garden charm. Every garden has corners that feel ordinary, spaces that wait quietly for something remarkable to happen. The driftwood spiral trellis is a design that transforms such spaces into living art. It rises gracefully, twisting upward as though nature itself had shaped it, a sculpture of wood and life woven together. The foundation begins with driftwood or twisted branches. Their curves already tell a story of rivers, tides, and seasons, making them ideal for a design that celebrates flow and movement. As you arrange the branches in a spiral form, securing them around a central support, the structure takes on the shape of a helix, simple yet mesmerizing. Into this organic frame, recycled bottles find new purpose. Cut and shaped into planters, they are mounted along the spiral at intervals, each one a pocket of soil and life. At first, they may seem like small details, but when filled with herbs, strawberries, or cascading flowers, they bring vibrancy to the natural wood, turning the trellis into something alive. The beauty of this design lies in its rhythm. Plants grow upward, following the spiral as though they were drawn by its invisible current. Trailing vines drape downward, softening the wooden frame. Flowers bloom at unexpected angles, creating bursts of color that shift with every season. From a distance, the trellis looks like a sculpture. Up close, it feels like a living spiral breathing with the garden. Practicality meets artistry here. The bottles provide compact, organized spaces for planting, perfect for those who want to grow edibles in small gardens. Strawberries dangle like jewels, mint spills over the sides, or tomatoes climb along the wood. With each harvest, the trellis proves itself useful as well as beautiful. At twilight, small solar lights wound around the spiral can turn the structure into an enchanting beacon. The driftwood glows, shadows twist along the ground, and the bottles gleam softly, cradling greenery within. It becomes not just a trellis, but a centerpiece, a reminder of what creativity can bring into an ordinary backyard. What makes the driftwood spiral trellis so inspiring is that it does not hide its imperfections. Every knot, every bend in the wood, every uneven edge of a bottle planter is part of the charm. It is a celebration of nature's irregular beauty and human imagination, entwined in a dance that makes the garden feel alive with movement. There is a certain charm in the quiet strength of a stone wall. It feels timeless, as if it has stood there for generations, holding stories of seasons and footsteps that have passed by. The mini stone wall with bottle windows captures that very essence, blending the rustic stability of rock with the playful creativity of upcycled planters. The process begins with flat stones, gathered from riverbeds, garden centers, or even leftover construction projects. Unlike modern walls, this one asks for no cement or mortar. Each stone is placed carefully, balanced upon the other, forming a sturdy base that rises slowly but confidently. The joy of this method is in its patience. Every piece must find its perfect place, like fitting together the fragments of a natural puzzle. As the wall grows, small gaps are left intentionally, shaped like windows in miniature. These are not flaws, but opportunities. Into each opening, a cut plastic bottle is tucked, filled with soil, and prepared to welcome a plant. Suddenly, the wall is not just stone, but a living tapestry. Herbs such as thyme or oregano can spill over the edges, while flowers like pansies or petunias burst through the openings with cheerful color. The result is a structure that feels alive. The stones provide permanence and strength, while the bottle planters bring softness and surprise. It is the contrast that makes the design enchanting. Solid and fluid, rugged and tender, ancient and new. In a cottage-style garden, such a wall feels right at home, as if it has always belonged there, blending seamlessly with pathways, hedges, and blooms. What makes this idea particularly inspiring is its adaptability. It can serve as a small decorative border, a divider for garden beds, or even a retaining wall for a raised planter. The size is modest, yet its presence is powerful. And because it is built from natural stones and recycled bottles, it carries a sense of sustainability that deepens its beauty. In the evening, the wall seems to change character. Shadows settle between the stones, and the plants catch the last rays of light, glowing softly as if the garden itself is breathing. Standing before it, you realize that what began as discarded bottles and forgotten rocks has become something extraordinary. A story of resourcefulness and imagination, told in stone and blossom. A pathway in a garden is more than just a way to walk. It is a journey, a quiet line that guides your steps and frames your view of the world around you. And what if each step along that path was lit not just by light, but also by life? That is the beauty of the bottle in pebble lantern planter, a design that turns ordinary walkways into enchanted corridors. The construction begins with something simple, a wireframe cylinder or a mesh cage. Into this frame, smooth pebbles are placed, each one stacked and settled until the shape resembles a lantern carved from stone. The effect is rustic and timeless, like something you might find marking the entrance of an old countryside garden. But hidden within lies the heart of the design, a plastic bottle cut and repurposed as a planter. Inside this recycled bottle is soil, roots, and green promise. Herbs, cascading flowers, or even small ferns find their home here. They peek out from the center of the pebble lantern, bringing life where one would expect only stone. It is this marriage of permanence and softness, of stone and sprout, that makes the design so captivating. As daylight fades, the lanterns reveal another secret. Tucked among the pebbles are small LED or solar lights, their glow spilling softly through the gaps. The stones catch the light, shimmering like quiet jewels, while the plants bask gently in the warmth. Walking down such a pathway feels like stepping into a dream, each lantern a small guardian of beauty and calm. The practicality of this idea is just as appealing as its charm. The bottles provide secure planting pockets, the pebbles offer stability and drainage, and the lights ensure the lanterns are both functional and decorative. They guide footsteps, prevent stumbling, and create an ambience that invites evenings in the garden. Perhaps most inspiring is how approachable this project is. With little more than pebbles, a few discarded bottles, and inexpensive solar lights, anyone can craft these lanterns. They can be made tall or short, subtle or dramatic, depending on the space and vision. And when the path is complete, when the lanterns line the walkway and glow softly in the dusk, you'll realize you have created more than lighting. You have crafted a story of renewal and imagination, one where every step feels accompanied by nature's gentle embrace. There is a certain poetry in old wood. A fallen tree, weathered and hollowed by time, can feel like the memory of a forest captured in a single piece. Instead of letting it decay unnoticed, why not let it become the heart of your garden? That is the spirit behind the hollow log pebble planter tower, an idea that combines the raw beauty of nature with the gentle art of gardening. The process begins with sections of hollow logs. If nature has not carved them out already, a simple hand tool can create the space inside. Once hollow, each log becomes a vessel, a natural pot waiting to hold soil, roots, and new life. By stacking the logs vertically, one upon another, a tower begins to rise, rustic yet graceful, standing like a guardian in the middle of the garden. The outside of each log can be decorated with smooth pebbles, carefully attached to highlight textures and patterns. The stones add contrast to the rough bark, making the tower feel as though it carries both strength and elegance. They shimmer slightly in the sunlight, adding detail to what might otherwise be just wood. Inside, the logs cradle plants of your choice. Herbs like mint and basil thrive in the cool chambers. Trailing flowers spill over the edges, softening the structure with bursts of color. Even strawberries, with their small blossoms and dangling fruit, can transform the tower into something both beautiful and nourishing. The beauty of this design is that it feels alive in every season. In spring, it bursts with new growth. In summer, it flourishes with fragrance and fruit. In autumn, the logs and stones blend with golden leaves. And in winter, even when bare, the structure itself holds a quiet dignity. Practicality also plays its part. By stacking vertically, the design saves space while maximizing planting potential. Ideal for small gardens or patios, the The logs provide natural insulation for roots, while the pebbles help with drainage and stability. When placed in a flower bed or near a patio, the hollow log planter tower becomes more than decor. It is a storybook feature, a reminder of the forest, and a celebration of renewal. With every glance, it whispers the same truth. Nothing in nature is wasted, and even what seems old can hold new life again. There is something about the design of an old wine barrel that feels instantly nostalgic. It speaks of tradition, of vineyards bathed in sunlight, of country cellars rich with character. The English barrel panel with bottle slots takes that familiar image and transforms it into a vertical garden feature. One that is practical, sustainable, and filled with charm. The idea begins with a simple wooden frame. Shaped and painted to resemble the curved staves of a barrel, it becomes the backdrop for this rustic creation. Circular cutouts are made across the surface, each one just the right size to nestle a recycled bottle. The bottles, once discarded, now find purpose as tiny planters, discreetly tucked into the wooden panel. Each slot holds soil and a plant of choice. Herbs like basil or thyme thrive beautifully here, their fragrance adding depth to the design. Strawberries tumble with cheerful red fruit, catching the eye and tempting the hand. Flowers, marigolds, violas, or pansies bring bursts of color, softening the strong lines of the wood with their delicate presence. Together, the bottles transform into windows of life set against the barrel's rustic backdrop. One of the greatest joys of this project is its flexibility. It can be small, like a decorative wall hanging, or large enough to become a dramatic centerpiece. In a backyard corner, it creates the illusion of a vineyard scene. On a patio wall, it adds a touch of rustic artistry while also offering fresh herbs for the kitchen. This purpose is as adaptable as your imagination. Practicality, too, is woven into its beauty. The bottles act as individual containers, making planting and maintenance easy. The wooden frame provides stability, while also serving as insulation against harsh sun or wind. For small spaces, this vertical design allows you to grow more without taking up valuable ground. As daylight fades, the panel carries yet another layer of beauty. If small fairy lights are woven among the plants, the bottles glow softly, evoking the cozy warmth of vineyard lanterns. It becomes more than just decor. It becomes atmosphere, a reminder that even recycled materials can carry elegance when given thoughtful purpose. The English barrel panel with bottle slots is proof that design does not need to be complicated. With wood, bottles, and imagination, you can create something that feels both timeless and personal, an echo of tradition, reimagined in your own backyard. Every garden benefits from a touch of movement, a sense that nature is flowing even when water is absent. The rustic Pebble River is not truly a stream, yet it carries the poetry of one, winding gently through the garden, sparkling with light, and blooming with life from cleverly hidden planters. The foundation begins with smooth pebbles, gathered in shades of gray, white, or soft earth tones. They are laid carefully in a meandering line across the ground, tracing the shape of a natural stream. The curve is important. Too straight and it feels artificial, but with bends and turns, it whispers of rivers shaped by time. Between the layers of stone, plastic bottles find their new purpose. Cut and placed with their openings outward, they act as discreet planting pockets. From these small vessels, herbs like thyme or oregano peek out, or trailing ivy spills across the stones. The bottles, once waste, are hidden within the beauty of the riverbed, revealed only through the life they support. As the sun sets, the design takes on another dimension. Tiny LED or solar lights, tucked among the stones, awaken with a soft glow. They trace the line of the river, transforming it into a luminous path. The lights sparkle against the pebbles, like stars reflected in flowing water. It is enchanting, drawing the eye and inviting you to walk closer, to linger in its gentle radiance. The rustic Pebble River is more than decor. It is a story told in stone, light, and greenery. It can guide visitors through the garden, lead to a seating area, or frame a quiet corner for reflection. Its practicality is subtle. The bottles provide compact planting spaces, the pebbles assist with drainage, and the lights ensure safety as well as beauty. What makes this design deeply inspiring is its versatility. In a small courtyard, it can be a modest dry stream that brightens the space. In a larger garden, it can weave between beds, uniting them into a cohesive landscape. Whether simple or elaborate, it carries the same charm that even without water, you can create the feeling of flow. Standing before it at night, the pebbles glowing softly, the plants reaching outward, you realize that it is not just a garden feature. It is a reminder that beauty comes from harmony, from finding ways to let waste and nature, light and shadow, stone and plant, dance together in quiet perfection. Every wall in a garden tells a story, and sometimes that story is written with plants instead of paint. The upcycled palette gallery with pebble frames is a design that turns a humble wooden palette into a living artwork. A gallery wall where each frame is alive with color, texture, and growth. It begins with something many people overlook: an old palette. Once used for shipping or storage, it now becomes the foundation of creativity. Standing upright, it transforms into a vertical canvas ready to be filled with life. Into its wooden sections, bottle planters are placed, cut, painted, and prepared to cradle soil and roots. To elevate the design, smooth pebbles are arranged along the edges of each planting section, forming natural frames. Like borders around paintings, they highlight the greenery inside, turning each planter into a vignette. Some frames might feature herbs, basil, rosemary, or mint, adding fragrance to the gallery. Others might showcase cascading flowers, their colors spilling beyond the borders, softening the structure with playful charm. The effect is enchanting. From a distance, the palette looks like a wall of miniature gardens, each one unique yet connected. Up close, you notice the details, the texture of the stones, the grain of the wood, the delicate shapes of leaves and petals. It is both rustic and refined, simple yet captivating. This project is not only about beauty but also about function. Vertical planting maximizes space, making it perfect for small gardens, patios, or even balconies. It allows you to grow herbs within arm's reach, flowers at eye level, and trailing plants that fall gracefully like natural curtains. The use of recycled materials, wood, bottles, and stones, makes the project sustainable as well as stylish. At night, the gallery can transform again. Small lights woven through the palette cast shadows across the pebble frames, making the plants glow like portraits in a softly lit room. It becomes not just a feature wall but an atmosphere, a living artwork that changes with the seasons. The beauty of the upcycled palette gallery lies in its storytelling. Each frame holds not just plants, but a memory of what they once were: discarded bottles, overlooked wood, forgotten stones. Together, they are reborn as a piece of art that enriches the garden. It is a reminder that creativity is not about perfection, but about seeing possibility in the simplest of things. Sometimes a garden calls for order, a place where plants can be displayed like treasures on a stage. The rustic shelf wall with pebble inlays and bottle slots answers that call, blending practicality with artistry to create a vertical structure that is as functional as it is beautiful. The design begins with reclaimed wood. Old boards, weathered with time, are cut into shelves and arranged onto a sturdy frame. Their imperfections, knots, scratches, and faded grain, are not flaws but marks of character, each one adding depth to the final creation. As the shelves take shape, the wall begins to resemble a rustic cabinet, a gallery of nature waiting to be filled. Along the edges of each shelf, smooth pebbles are carefully set, forming decorative inlays. They provide contrast to the rough wood, their polished surfaces catching the light and bringing subtle elegance to the structure. Together, wood and stone weave a dialogue, rugged and refined, natural and intentional. Within the shelves, recycled bottles are cut into small planting slots. Each bottle holds soil and a seedling, transforming into a miniature pot. Herbs like parsley or basil thrive in these pockets, while flowers add bursts of color. Arranged in neat rows, they create a sense of balance, as though the wall itself has been painted with living brushstrokes. The beauty of this shelf wall is not just in its appearance but also in its flexibility. It can serve as a focal point in a patio, a decorative accent on a fence, or even a functional vertical herb garden near the kitchen. By elevating plants, it makes care and harvest easier, turning routine gardening into an experience of joy and simplicity. In the evening, the shelf wall takes on a different character. Small lanterns or solar lights can be placed along the shelves, casting warm shadows across the pebbles and plants. The wall glows gently, becoming not only a garden feature, but a piece of living art that softens the night with its quiet presence. Standing before it, you realize the rustic shelf wall is more than decor. It is a celebration of materials once overlooked: old wood, small stones, discarded bottles, reborn as a story of renewal. With every shelf, every plant, every detail, it tells a tale of how beauty can emerge from simplicity, how creativity can make even the plainest wall into a window of wonder. In a garden, movement is usually the domain of the wind, the sway of branches, or the flutter of leaves. But what if the structure itself could move, shifting gently with your touch, bringing playfulness into the heart of your backyard? The branch totem with rotating bottle planters is exactly that, a living sculpture that marries functionality with a sense of wonder. The foundation of this design is a tall central pole, set firmly into the ground. Around it, slices of wood or thick branches are mounted like platforms, giving the structure its rustic backbone. Each slice is carefully measured and secured, stacked one above the other to form a vertical tower. Attached to this totem are recycled bottles, each cut and transformed into small planters. What makes them extraordinary is the way they are mounted, on rods or pivots that allow them to rotate freely. A simple touch sends them turning, revealing new angles of greenery and flowers with each movement. The design is dynamic, always changing, always inviting curiosity. The plants themselves add layers of character. Imagine strawberries hanging like jewels, herbs growing fresh and fragrant, or colorful blossoms cascading as the bottles turn in the breeze. It is not only practical, maximizing planting space in a vertical format, but also visually captivating. The totem becomes a centerpiece, drawing attention and sparking conversation. The rotating planters also have a hidden advantage. They make care and harvest effortless. A gentle spin brings the plants within reach, whether for watering, pruning, or plucking fresh leaves for the kitchen. This interactivity adds a sense of play to the gardening process, reminding us that tending plants can be as joyful as it is rewarding. At night, small solar lights can be placed at the base, casting shadows upward along the totem. As the bottles turn, they catch the light, creating patterns of glow and shade that shift with the wind. The totem then becomes more than a structure. It becomes a living lantern, a piece of art that changes with every moment. The branch totem with rotating bottle planters is proof that gardening is not only about nurturing growth, but also about nurturing imagination. It celebrates sustainability, turning waste into function, wood into structure, and bottles into gardens. And in its movement, it reminds us that beauty does not have to stand still. It can dance, spin, and grow right before our eyes. Every garden has corners that feel too exposed, places where you wish for a touch of seclusion without losing the charm of openness. The bamboo privacy screen with bottle pockets offers a perfect solution, practical, elegant, and alive with greenery. It is not just a barrier, but a breathing wall that combines natural beauty with upcycled creativity. The foundation begins with bamboo poles, their golden tones glowing warmly in the sunlight. Light yet strong, they are lashed together to form a slim panel that stands upright like a natural fence. There is something immediately soothing about bamboo. It feels both rustic and graceful, a reminder of simple countryside living. Into the screen, Recycled bottles are clipped or tied directly to the poles. Cut into pockets, they become small containers for soil and seeds. Some bottles are painted in cheerful colors: yellow, blue, green, adding playful brightness to the structure. Others are left clear, allowing the simplicity of the bamboo to shine. The arrangement is flexible: rows of bottles for order, or scattered placement for a whimsical touch. As the plants grow, the screen transforms into a vertical garden. Herbs such as mint and basil sprout from the bottles, while trailing flowers spill gently over the edges. Lettuce or leafy greens can also thrive here, turning the privacy screen into a practical kitchen garden within arm's reach. The greenery softens the bamboo's lines, weaving life into the structure until it feels less like a wall and more like a tapestry of nature. The design's practicality is matched by its charm. It provides privacy without heaviness, shade without gloom. The bamboo allows light to filter through, while the plants create a sense of freshness and movement. It is easy to adjust, adding more bottles, replacing plants with the seasons, or even shifting the screen to different spots in the garden as needed. At dusk, the bamboo screen reveals another layer of beauty. With small string lights woven through the poles, the bottles glow softly, their plants silhouetted against the warm light. The effect is enchanting, turning a simple divider into a magical backdrop for evening gatherings. The bamboo privacy screen with bottle pockets is proof that utility and beauty can exist hand in hand. It reminds us that even the need for privacy can be met with creativity, turning a functional barrier into a living piece of art that grows, adapts, and inspires with every season. Some garden designs are built for beauty, some for practicality, but the woven twig cone with bottle portholes is built for life itself. It is a structure that honors the wild rhythms of nature, inviting pollinators to thrive while giving your backyard a sculptural centerpiece that feels both rustic and alive. The design begins with supple twigs, gathered from pruned branches or collected from woodland walks. Their flexibility allows them to be woven together into a tall cone, much like a natural wigwam or obelisk. The weaving itself is meditative: twist, bend, tuck, until the cone rises from the soil, sturdy yet full of handmade character. Within this rustic frame, recycled plastic bottles are cleverly incorporated. Cut into small planters, they are slotted into the gaps like portholes. Each bottle holds soil and a bloom, turning the cone into a tower of flowers. Lavender, daisies, marigolds, and wildflowers spill from the openings, their colors softening the twigs and their scents drifting into the air. It is here that the design reveals its true purpose. The flowers attract bees, butterflies, and pollinators, who dart in and out of the cone, filling the garden with movement and life. Each bloom is more than decoration. It becomes a gift to the ecosystem, sustaining the very creatures that help gardens thrive. Watching the cone buzz with life is as rewarding as seeing the plants grow. The cone's form is not just symbolic, it is practical too. Its vertical shape saves space, making it ideal for smaller gardens. The bottles act as neat planting pockets, while the twigs provide natural support for climbing plants. You might train beans or sweet peas up the cone, letting their tendrils weave through the structure until it looks almost alive. At twilight, the woven cone can take on another character. Small fairy lights woven into the twigs create a gentle glow, turning the structure into a lantern-like presence in the garden. It feels magical, as though the cone has stepped out of a fairy tale, carrying with it the hum of bees and the fragrance of flowers. The woven twig cone with bottle portholes is more than a garden feature. It is a reminder of connection between wood and plant, waste and renewal, human hands and nature's rhythms. It tells a story of harmony, showing that when we design with care, we create not just beauty, but life itself. Sometimes, a garden feels most magical when it carries a touch of imagination, something that makes you pause and wonder, what if there is a hidden world here, just beyond our sight? The fairy door branch pillar with bottle niches is one such creation, where rustic wood meets whimsy, and the garden becomes a storybook waiting to be told. The idea begins with a tall, weathered branch, Chosen for its strength and character, it stands upright like a pillar, its bark rough with time and texture. At its base, a fairy door is added, crafted from wood or painted directly onto the branch. The door can be pastel pink, deep green, or left in earthy browns. Tiny details, a doorknob, hinges, pebble steps, make it feel real, as though it might open at any moment to reveal a hidden world within. Above the door, plastic bottles find their place, cut and embedded into the pillar as small niches. Each bottle pocket is filled with soil and a plant, cheerful flowers like violets or pansies, trailing ivy, or even tiny succulents. They spill outward from the branch, softening its ruggedness with bursts of life. The pillar thus becomes both rustic and whimsical, part sculpture, part living garden. Children and adults alike are drawn to this feature. For children, it sparks imagination, the possibility of fairies, woodland creatures, or tiny guardians of the garden. For adults, it brings nostalgia, a sense of wonder that connects them to childhood stories and the beauty of nature. It becomes a point of conversation, a little surprise that makes the garden feel alive with personality. Practicality lives within the magic, too. The bottle niches provide small, organized planting spaces that can be refreshed seasonally. The pillar itself requires little ground space, making it perfect for corners or as an accent among flower beds. Its vertical presence adds height and interest, ensuring the eye always finds something delightful to rest upon. In the evening, small lanterns or fairy lights placed near the base cast a warm glow across the door and plants, making the scene even more enchanting. The pillar stands not only as decor but as an invitation, a reminder that gardens are not only for growing plants, but also for growing stories, joy, and imagination. The fairy door branch pillar with bottle niches is proof that creativity is not limited to function. It celebrates play, storytelling, and the beauty of blending rustic materials with touches of fantasy. In its presence, the garden feels less like a patch of earth and more like a doorway to wonder. As our journey through today's inspirations gently comes to an end, take a moment to let the images and ideas settle quietly in your heart. A simple branch transformed into a trellis, a bottle reborn as a planter, or a pebble shining softly in the evening light. Each one reminds us that beauty often begins with what we already have around us. It is not only about design, but also about learning to see the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary. Here at TERAFLORA Studio, we believe that gardens are more than just spaces. They are reflections of patience, of care, of creativity flowing through our hands. When we shape a corner of soil, when we place a stone or plant a seed, we are not only making something grow, we are also weaving peace into our lives. Perhaps one of the projects we shared today will find a home in your own backyard. Or perhaps it will remain as a gentle thought, a dream waiting for the right season. Either way, know that every small step you take toward creativity carries meaning. It brings calmness, joy, and the quiet satisfaction of making something with love. If these moments have brought warmth to your day, I invite you to stay connected with us. Kindly consider subscribing to TERAFLORA Studio, so together we can continue nurturing this garden of ideas. Your support is like sunlight and water. It helps this community grow, blossom, and share inspiration with even more hearts. Until we meet again in the next story, may your days be filled with gentle beauty, and may your garden, whether in soil, in thought, or in spirit, always bloom with wonder.